couple of years ago, the day before kind of came out of the middle of nowhere. I kind of equate the day before with another game which kind of came out of the middle of nowhere and got so much eyes, and that was Abandoned, a PlayStation 5 horror game, which at first a lot of people thought it was connected to Hideo Kojima, Silent Hills, and it wasn't any of that, and it still hasn't released. It looks like it's vaporware at this point, and it looks like a small indie team that got way in over their head, and that kind of is the feelings I have with the day before. This is a game that I was planning on discussing at some point earlier this year. I had a whole outline and everything, just other things came up, so I moved on from that, but it just came back on the radar in recent days because of so much controversy surrounding it, and I've been saying this for the longest time. I may have said this in video form, I'm not sure if I have, but this looked like a blatant scam from the get-go. It was one of those gameplay trailers that you watch and you're just like, this looks way too good to be true. And especially the development team, there's not much known about these guys, and there really isn't much indication that they'll be able to pull that off. I think the last time we felt that was kind of with Atomic Hearts. It didn't really turn out that way, fortunately. But just usually when you see that stuff with these gameplay trailers, they show off so many impressive gameplay mechanics. The initial thought is, well, that's interesting. Hopefully this isn't scripted nonsense. And yeah, a lot of it was scripted nonsense. So back in 2021, we had this trailer. The gamer actually has this outline. The day before introduces off-road gameplay full of SnowRunner vibes. It looked like the dream survival open world MMO that a lot of people have been waiting for. Something a little better than, say, DayZ or even Rust. Those are the comparisons people have made. And then there's also elements of The Division. So many popular games here. That's why a lot of people were initially like, okay, I got to put this on the radar. This looks quite impressive. But as this article from The Gamer points out, the day before came out of nowhere at the end of this January by the Wild 8 developer Fantastic, and it quickly drew players' attention. And again, everything about it, the third-person shooter basis, stealth, crafting system, survival elements, and even both PvP, PvE, it was describing everything that players wanted. Now, the problems that really started right off the back, because this is another thing that quickly drew to attention the year after. It was the fact that Fantastic developers of Steam's most wishlisted game the day before updated their website to say that they are an organization comprised of both paid and unpaid volunteers. You can apply to work for them for free to help them deliver their projects, and this was on their website. It's no longer on their website because of the recent events. We'll get to all of that as this video develops, but yeah, they're trying to get unpaid labor to take part in this, which got a lot of people scratching their head a little bit. And yeah, Kotaku covered it. MMO Studio wants unpaid volunteers to make Steam's most wishlisted game. Then there was a lot of attention on the trailers and everything else that came to be, because a lot of people started to pay attention to the marketing material and also the fact that there wasn't a lot of gameplay being shown by Fantastic as the release date started to draw closer and closer. As another popular YouTuber here points out, I'm more surprised this game is legal. This is obviously The Division and the day before. They are just blatant with their theft here. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, as you can see, these screenshots, they were clearly going for it. This is Resident Evil here, but they're just copying all of these popular AAA games and their marketing material. And then, as Skillip actually pointed out, this was earlier this year. This is what got a lot of people very curious. Fantastic making it sound like they're doing us a special favor by releasing actual gameplay of their video game. And yeah, it took them a long time just to release a new gameplay trailer. And then that gameplay trailer drew a lot of attention because of how downgraded it looked versus the 2021 footage. But another thing, the day before, studio co-founders deny scam allegations. They have been consistent about denying it, but there's been so much proof, we're going to get to all of that this has literally been a blatant scam. This is something that I knew from the get-go, to be fair. Post-apocalyptic survival game the day before has been removed from Steam. This was again earlier this year, an issue which developer Fantastic called a bug caused by a minor technical difficulty, then later claimed was a copyright complication. There was a whole mess with this game at one point because I guess they didn't obtain the copyright to this name, so I wasn't even sure if this was going to release under this name, but eventually, obviously, they figured that out, I suppose. But as I said, the marketing material in these recent videos of the last year, very blatant with their theft of more popular games. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and then here we have the day before copying that scene. Another one, Black Ops Cold War. Yeah, very blatant. Here's another scene that they stole. It's really weird why they couldn't make a trailer. This is just weird theft, in my opinion. Also, more and more red flags. Another one, this one coming from, let's see what game this is. The Last of Us, which already they stole the kind of the theme of their name, their logo, I should say. And yeah, as you can see, The Last of Us the day before, pretty blatant, and we talked about this just a second ago. Another one, this is why people have called this an asset flip for the longest time, because literally they're using so much assets in them. And look, with indie games, this happens. This isn't a huge deal. But the problem is of how many they're using, and we'll again get to that as this video goes. And somebody actually has gameplay of them literally stealing. Let's see. Yeah, as you can see, the footage we just went over, or the screenshots. Yeah, pretty obvious. And like I say, it's not just a couple of games that they've ripped off. In all of their gameplay trailers and videos, they've ripped off so many. We have Red Dead Redemption 2. They had like a narrator which sounded almost exactly alike. Then we continue. Grand Theft Auto 5, again, stealing scenes and such. Cyberpunk 2077, they used literal word for word for their marketing, saying immerse yourself. And the day before, that was a big thing with Cyberpunk. And then, again, this is what I talked about before. The gameplay that we had earlier this year that they showed off, it just looked like a massive downgrade. We're going to look through a little bit of this.
Yep. I'll find out what...
I will also point out, I always hate when gaming companies do this, just period, having fake dialogue.
The skyscraper.
Okay, and I'll look around here. Let's see what we have here. Alright. I have found a great cowboy hat.
I mean, the thing is also, you could just look at the open world. It looks so detailed. It looks so fun to explore. And then this was the gameplay video that they uploaded earlier this year. I believe it was downvoted. I'm not sure. Don't take my word at that. But it just looks so much more dead. And again, this was 10 months ago. Remember that, please.
Cowboy.
Listen up. This is Woodbury Survival.
It just seems so much more lively. And here's some actual zombies. This is my point. They actually seem like a threat.
The world of the day before is teeming with hungry...
Even then, in that footage, you can see that they don't look like a threat. But anyway, you kind of get the point with that. This was 10 or 11 months ago, and now here we are at the release date. And as Fantastic took to Twitter the other day, or actually a couple days ago, after 5 years of blood, sweat, and tears, we could finally say these words: the day before is out now. And yeah, they were celebrating. They also had this big this statement. Again, they wanted people to stop accusing them of us being an asset flip. That's not true. Also, our team worked day and night for 5 years to make our dream game a reality. Please don't accuse us of scamming. That's not true. We didn't take a penny from anyone. That's not true. And yeah, just a very sketchy statement. All of the things that they've been saying the last couple of years, I never believed this was a real deal. The fact that it actually released, say what you will, I'm actually surprised by that. But yeah, the day before, overwhelmingly negative, and you can't even buy the game anymore because of the recent events, everything that's been going on. And scam game, that's the word that everybody has described with it. Now, I myself did not have the displeasure of playing this experience, but I've seen enough gameplay to understand that it is exactly what I expected it to be. It's not an open world MMO a la, like, say, DayZ or such. It was actually an extraction shooter, which they denied in multiple times. We'll get to those in a second, some of the statements and so much that they've been saying over the years. Let's see what else. It was also a poorly done extraction shooter. There was like 2 extraction zones which were just camped by players. It was a mess. It was a broken mess, which clearly shows these developers were in over their head. There was no persistent progression system, no story content really after the tutorial, just AI generated content which was really boring. There was a useless ranch building mechanic. NPC interactions sounded AI-like, at least the writing with it. The world, again, it was static, it was boring, no weather, nothing that looked as interesting as that original 2021 footage. There was very little UI in this game, very weird. The inventory mechanics seemed to be the entire game, which is, I think, a major problem. The economy seemed to be broken with horrific, dumb prices for cars. There's lazy animations, some just non-existent animations for some explosions and stuff. The gunplay was bare bones. It actually looked like it barely was functional. Assets mostly were used from the Unreal Engine store, which is hilarious when they say they've been working on this for 5 years. Maybe they've been working on implementing those assets, but very little effort was put into this scam. The zombie AI is also pathetic. The few that actually are even in the game that you can find, all you have to do is jump on something and the zombies are so stupid that they don't do anything. There's tons of bugs that were never fixed. You saw some of the memes with some of the huge like NPCs that would blow up. There was constant FPS issues, crashes, broken servers. That is the day before. This is the game that it really is unfortunate, but I just knew that this was coming eventually. And yeah, IGN gave them, I think this is the only reviewer that actually has published a review for this. They gave it a 1, saying that it was unbearable. The day before is easily one of the worst games I've ever played, to the point where I'm afraid to continue running it on my PC. And if you didn't manage to try it out yourself, you can probably count yourself as one of the lucky ones. And yeah, I consider myself lucky. And then if you didn't know, immediately they bought the game, they played it for a little bit, and they dipped on out. As of 19 hours ago, 50% of the purchases were refunded on the game. Lifetime Steam units, 200,000 and minus 91,000. Ouch. And that's only going to continue, again, based on the recent events. And as of right now on Steam, it only has around 700 players. That'll be almost 0 by probably the end of the week. And people were already demanding immediately once this game went live to delist it, report it as a fraud, because it literally is that. False advertising, so many things. Again, this was one of the developers or somebody who represents the company who defended them, saying it is not an extraction game. It literally is just that. It's terrible at that as well. Adding this in after recording, but I thought I'd just specifically mention the fact that the developers have deleted a lot of their social media stuff. The Discord server for this game is gone. Their website has pretty much gone. Their YouTube, they scrubbed it completely. It's like they're trying to disappear. And then people were making fun of the fact that 5 years of development, they pointed out again. The entire city map is a $300 Unreal Engine pack you can get right now. The devs legit only made the Barnhouse main hub and player items. The map, assets, everything isn't theirs. 5 years for the wait, and again, a connection to the Unreal Engine store. And this continues. Somebody actually pointed this out on the Steam page, and I guess it was removed by Fantastic while they were trying to save some face, I guess. But yeah, this person literally outlined all of them, all of these different assets. And it isn't just a couple, guys. They literally were just, everything original came from that store. Nothing was original, I should say. I don't know what they were doing for 5 years except just buying stuff off that store, which I understand. I said this earlier. Some indie developers are going to use stuff like that. That's fine. That's understandable. But on this scale, it's just fucking ridiculous in my opinion. And that leads us finally to what all of you have seen by now. We did get this official statement in which originally, I think Fantastic of you, let's go to their Twitter account. Let me see if I can get there. Let's see. Yeah. Right around launch, they were talking about patching it up, working some updates, improvements. They were going to be coming. They were working, and then they just gave the fuck up. They said, never mind with that shit, which probably for good reason. Also because I think they just want to take that money and run at this point. Today we announced the closure of the Fantastic Studio. Unfortunately, the day before has failed financially, and we lack the funds to continue. All income received is being used to pay off debts to our partners. This is the part which got a lot of people like, holy crap, report them to the authorities. Or somebody, holy moly. And that's probably why Steam or Valve probably jumped in immediately, and I believe Valve was on their part to cause people not to buy the game anymore. If not, but just everything about this, so sketchy. And then they furthermore go on saying, we invested all of our resources, man hours into development of the day before, which was our first huge game. We really wanted to release new patches to reveal the full potential of the game, but unfortunately we don't have the funding to continue the work. I don't think they really ever had a plan after this. I don't know how you look at the last 3 years or so with all the controversy that has surrounded this game, and they didn't expect people to be extremely skeptical when this released. I just don't know how they envision this ever working out, which is why I think that this was always the plan. Release it, get as much money as possible after some people just choose not to refund. But we'll see how that plan pans out, I suppose. It's important to note that we didn't take any money from the public during the development the day before. There was no pre-orders or crowdfunding campaigns. We worked tirelessly for 5 years, pouring our blood, sweat, and tears. You used a bunch of assets. There's very little evidence that you did too much except for misleading in your marketing, which that's what I absolutely fucking hate about this post. You guys lied for years. There was so much fraud, deceit. That's probably going to be the title of this fucking video. These people are frauds. They should never have any sales in this gaming industry, and they should fuck off and do absurdity. Just ridiculous. And then they say at the moment, the future the day before and some other game they worked on is unknown, but the servers will remain operational. We apologize, blah, 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 blah. And they talk about their history. Who gives a shit at this point? And we did see the publisher. I didn't know. Mitona is apparently a Russian publisher, which why got a lot of people with their eyebrows went up a little bit like, huh, that's kind of interesting. They say as the investor, I mean, they're the publisher of the day before, we'd like to provide some updates. We are sorry for the fact that the game didn't meet the expectations. Today we will work with Steam to open up refunds for any players who choose to make a refund. And then we're in contact with Fantastic regarding the future of the game. And then IGN published another article about this, saying that in a statement issued at IGN, a Fantastic spokesperson confirmed that the developer and its publisher Mitona are working with Steam to open up refunds to any players who want one, regardless of game time. And as you may see by that IGN article, they've also been responding to some comments on Twitter, saying that shit happens. It's a bit of an understatement, guys. This was actually a response to this guy saying, unbelievable that you guys hyped this game up so much, and this is the end result. You guys are an absolute disgrace to the video game industry. I'd say so. They also take the top honor of having the worst game in this year, and that is a mighty achievement with the amount of contenders that we have this year. From that terrible King Kong game, Kong Skull Island, Gollum, Redfall, and a number of other examples I'm forgetting. But they said this was our first big experience. Shit happens, and that's an understatement. And, you know, this excuse doesn't exactly work either when, again, you've spent years false advertising. Oh, these people, these companies, man. And then it is worth noting that they also may be attempting to get away from their Fantastic branding, which may be them trying to continue and just ignore this horrific game that they launched. And I do want to point out, if you go to Fantastic, you open up the developer, let's go to their Steam page, you'll see that, again, they've published a couple of games, and now we'll go to Wild 8. And I believe some people have pointed out that this was said Fantastic, and they've changed it to 8 points. I think some people have shown the Steam DB some of the back end stuff, so they're trying to separate their other games from the day before, which is just extremely scummy in my opinion, and shows that they knew that they were going to fuck up with this, in my opinion. But yeah, as they say, way back when on Kickstarter, Wild 8 was listed and it was funded more than asked. It was developed by 8 Points, originally founded and named after the 8 developers working there at the time. Later on in 2017, further along in development, an announcement is made, they're rebranding to Fantastic. And yeah, now they've apparently changed back to 8 Points because they want to separate from this company that is now a disgrace to this industry. It is important to also understand that it's not just gamers that are outraged by this. We've also seen some of the notable open world MMOs responding to the situation. We had DayZ mocking them, saying, today we want to primarily celebrate for no reason at all the remarkable 10th anniversary of DayZ. It's just a statement that mocks them, which is kind of hilarious because of everything that's happened now. We also did see Rust copy this and just laughing about this, but unfortunately, I don't think any of this is a laughing matter. This is just very disappointing to see. This is yet another example why gamers cannot trust these companies, especially in terms of marketing, AAA or indie or whatever. That's why I'm always skeptical. That's why when I saw that trailer, I initially thought to myself, it looks impressive, but something about this is just so off, especially with the team. You know nothing about them. And, well, I was proven right here at the end of 2023. It's unfortunate it took this long, but from the get-go, I had a feeling it was a scam. And as everything that we've learned about this game the last year or two, it looked more and more like a scam, and then it released to confirm that it was, in fact, a scam. So, very disappointing to see, but did you have the displeasure to play the day before? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below on this disaster of a release. And do you consider this the worst game of 2023? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.